Welcome to Sled Talk, where we love talking all things snowmobile. I'm Rob Reed,
I'm Steve Glass.
and we're here to talk about everything from pulling the cord to pulling your hair out. There is always a lot to talk about in the world of snowmobiling, right, Steve?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to start off with a couple interesting things about the show, actually.
Okay.
Guess where our number one group of listeners are finding us these days?
Winnipeg.
Not quite what I meant.
Oh.
What platform?
Facebook.
No.
YouTube.
No.
Good Lord. I don't know.
Spotify.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't even know we were on Spotify.
We are on Spotify.
good,
See?
good. Yeah.
Look at you go, eh?
Yeah.
And
You've informed me.
yes, and for the people that like other platforms to follow us on, there is a Performance Supply LinkedIn page now for people to be able to go in, visit, chat, all the sort of good stuff, as they're thinking about subscribing, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it may be, even on the podcast.
Yeah. Good.
Make sure that you're subscribing and liking. And we sure love the comments. We love chatting back and forth with people and having that kind of interaction. So that being said, did you know that Polaris has now come out with a patent on a carbon fiber frame?
Hadn't heard that one, no.
Yeah, that is something that they have got in the works in the background. They are talking about more strength.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be faster assembly, which I'm assuming means fewer parts and a lower cost.
You hope.
I'm sure hoping that. It'll also make for a lighter sled, I would think.
It should be lighter for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but carbon fiber has been around for a long time. I think if you come in from the racing world, you're probably seeing carbon fiber showing up in, I don't know, race cars, that sort of stuff.
Lots of our parts are carbon fiber to reduce weight, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Blade snowmobiles have a lot of carbon fiber on them.
Yeah, did
Yes,
they?
they did, actually,
The old
yeah.
blades?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it's not new technology. I think going to a full frame is kind of new and
Never
unique.
heard of that. It's usually just panels and parts and things.
Right. But going to a full chassis, I think will be something, maybe the wave of the future, the next big technology. I've said before, I don't believe we need more electronics on snowmobiles, but this is something that maybe something that really helps sleds going forward.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, and it's good somebody's trying something new, especially Polaris, who a lot of times settles into their happy place and stays there.
Well, I mean, when you have success, my man, you don't fool with it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Say that to the 20,000 years of wedge chassis that were built.
And they were incredible sleds.
They were pretty good sleds.
You know what? They were fantastic
And they look
sleds.
pretty good, especially the early ones.
The early ones, yeah. I mean, I had a few of those wedge sleds.
Yeah.
They were absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But with this carbon fiber frame, will it be a savings or an expense?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess time will tell. It may be something that if we ever manage to get and sit down with somebody from Polaris, they can shed a little light on that for us.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to read up on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I know we're going to want to talk about in the future, in the upcoming episode, is going to be rider training and the rider safety course that's out there for new people coming into the sport of snowmobiling.
Yeah.
I think that spending a day in about $45 or $50 just to learn a few things.
Years ago, I would have said that it's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
But with all the sleds on the trails, and for how many times I've been pushed off of a trail and stuff,
Yeah,
I think people could use a bit of training, especially the younger guys.
yeah, some hand signals
Yeah,
and the
and
speed that they move at
That's
now.
true. They're
You know what I mean?
incredibly fast.
You hop on even a small, what I call a small 600,
Yeah.
and you're cooking along very quickly.
And you don't feel it.
Yes.
Not like the old days.
Yeah. Back when 60 miles an hour felt like 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you couldn't go around a corner without tipping. You had to learn a lot. You learned.
You learn how to sled or to ride.
Yeah, you learn how
And it's funny because I talked with my niece about this not long ago. Because she was one of those people that wasn't really comfortable on a snowmobile. Now, she hasn't taken the course to my knowledge, but I said nothing beats seat time.
I'd like to go to one of those courses and just see what they teach you, to be honest with you.
Yeah, might be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do it.
Maybe we should.
Bring Tanya.
Yeah.
Probably do her some good too.
Yeah.
So that being said, my niece says I am getting the seat time in, Uncle Rob. I'm getting a lot more comfortable. Like, you know, now she's out there, she's riding. You know, her boyfriend is a great guy, does a lot of riding, and they're out there doing that right now. So seat time is important, but if you've got some knowledge before you get on that seat, that's even better. I've always said that you can't do everything by book, and you can't do everything by you know, just field learning. A good combination of both is very important.
Now, I rode dirt bikes and motorcycles all my life, right? But they make you take the motorcycle training course before you go for your beginners. I learned a lot in that course. I learned things for a street bike that I guarantee I would have blown the first corner on a highway I hit if I hadn't learned push steering and stuff like that. So, I mean, the course was actually really good. Yeah.
And you've ridden all your life.
I know,
like dirt bikes.
I thought it was silly to have to go to a course like that, but there was a lot of good training. Yeah.
So definitely something we're going to get into a little bit more in a future episode. So stay tuned and be ready for that. Now, Steve, last episode, you threw out a bit of a challenge, and you've been dancing around it already this morning.
You're jumping right into that in the middle of this, are you?
Well, is there a better time?
What is your favorite brand of snowmobile? What is the best brand of snowmobile?
You said what is the best brand?
Yeah, okay, what is the best brand?
Okay, well, you started this.
I own pretty much every brand there is, including some that aren't made anymore, and I'm sticking with Skidoo.
Are you?
I think so. I'm going with Skidoo.
You know, 2 episodes in a row, I look behind us, and
yeah, sure, but they're the nicest ones to work on too.
Well, it's because you have to work on them a lot.
No.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No.
And you know, I remember, which sled was it that you had to put a liter of oil into every tank so that you wouldn't blow up the center cylinder on it?
No.
Yeah.
I put 16,000 kilometers on that machine, trouble free.
Yes.
And it even sat at the bottom of the Red River for an afternoon.
Yeah, it did.
And it never got taken apart. It was just that was my Mach 1 700 triple. I think one of the best motors ever built.
Right.
And good mileage, never ever touched it. I know now you can go on about your XLT and.
Oh yeah, I mean the XLT.
You haven't said yet who you think's the best brand.
Well, I've been letting you get it out. I mean, you've been just bursting to share with everyone how much you love Ski-Doo, because I kind of knew this was where you were going.
One of my machines that I ride the most is a Yamaha right now, but I still go back to the Ski-Doo every time.
Now, I know that I have traditionally been a Polaris guy.
Yeah.
Going right back to, I'll say, the early 80s with that 79 TXL that I had. And if we ever come across a decent one at not $5,000, I probably have a good hard look at, adding to my vintage fleet, which is currently at 0.
Right, you need to.
So if anyone's got a 79 TXL out there, get in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
But that being said, I went from that to the Indy 400. And then from there to the XLT, which I have to say was a fantastic snowmobile.
For the amount of maintenance it saw, 0.
What are you talking about?
It was a very reliable snowmobile.
Yeah, well, I mean, it got greased every year, and the
okay.
clutches got cleaned, and the carbs got cleaned, and it got maintenance.
How many miles did you put on that before the motor went?
About 13,000.
Miles, though, right?
Miles.
Yeah, that was
miles. Yeah, before the motor finally just said, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided it was time to say goodbye to that sled once and for all.
16,000 kilometers, I sold my motor and put it in another snowmobile, and it went off, and I never heard from it again. So it could still be running today.
Yeah, but you changed your phone number. I'm joking.
Yeah.
But that XLT was awesome. And then I went over to my Edge.
Yeah.
And that Edge was, you got questionable because of me, not because of the sled.
Okay.
Because I tweaked and played and did all kinds of things with that thing. And what I really, the one mistake that I made with that snowmobile was I leaned it out a little too much, then went snowmobiling up in Thompson, and it was, I'm going to say 35 below, and leaned the motor right out, popped a piston. And because we were in the middle of nowhere, I rode it as far as I possibly could hoping to limp it back to the cottage we were in.
Because all I remember is coming to your house and it was sitting under its cover because you never said boo about anything.
No.
And I went and looked, and I believe the only thing they could use to rebuild that motor was one cylinder.
I'm trying to remember if the bottom end was shot too. I think I may have, because I think the pistons started coming apart inside and may have done some damage to the bottom end as well.
Okay, so that was that machine.
Yeah, but that was my fault, not the Sled's fault.
That was a nice machine too.
Yeah, I mean that thing. Again, I called it the time machine because I put the exhaust on it. I put those high compression heads on it. I did all kinds of crazy things to this
Sled. Why were you
sled.
doing all that? I think maybe it was to try to keep up with my Mach 1.
No, I think I was always ahead of your Mach 1.
Well, you had it
If I remember correctly, I would be looking backwards. I mean, the only problem I had with that particular sled being an 800 and that high compression is every once in a while the rope would break. Now, if the engine was running, that was fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't shut it off the rest of the day. But because it was everything you could do to pull it over. But it started every time. I remember we went on a ride one time, a charity ride, raising money for a group here in Manitoba. And we would go out there in the mornings, and I had at that point probably the oldest sled in the group. Meanwhile, none of the Yamahas were starting because they were too cold. Some of the Arctic Cats wouldn't get going. There was a broken down cat on the trail, from one of the guys in the group. I've even got pictures of it with his hood up. Different things like that. Ski-Doos were acting up a little bit, but I'd go out to that old timer, and it wasn't that old then, but it was definitely the oldest sled in the group, and it would just start, Not as nicely as the XLT where you just kind of walked over and flicked the rope and off it went. But it started and it ran and it was a powerhouse. So fantastic freaking sled.
And then you went to...
And then I went to the Dragon.
And you endured those years.
Well...
And still...
and I'm still on that sled today.
I know.
And I'll say this. Once we worked the bugs out of it, and this will probably play into later, because it did drop an exhaust valve that one time you and I were out riding.
Polaris are bad for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the construction of the valves or what, but they're probably the worst.
Well, the nut stripped off the back of the valve stem, and it dropped in and kissed the piston, and that was the end of that. But once we worked out the EFI problems, and they did whatever updates they did to that motor, I'm still riding that sled today. It has been one of the best riding, handling sleds I've ever owned. It's fantastic. And the motor's been great ever since. Now, it never lived up to the performance that it was, presented to be. But from a riding, handling point of view, it's been great. And I've often said, you and I've talked about this, when I pop that motor again, and someday it's going to pop, I'm still thinking about dropping a triple into it.
They're fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was just it's such a great chassis that I'll probably upgrade to something else after that.
Yeah.
But
you left out the Ski-Doo you owned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe you swayed away from Ski-Doo after that. Was it Nordic or something? An Olympic or a Nordic?
Oh, okay, that one.
What, you have another Ski-Doo?
Yes.
Oh, the more creasy,
the Summit.
Was it a Summit or was
it was the Summit of all fears. I just absolutely that sled, we hated each other. Absolutely hated each other. So I bought this Summit.
I forgot about that one.
And did a bunch of work on this Summit, and got it in decent riding condition, and it was supposed to be, for my wife. And she hated it because it rode terribly. And it was so intermittent in the way it ran. I finally decided to sell it. So I go and sell it, and the guy shows up, and it will not start. The guy says, well, I'll tell you what, it's not running. He says, I think I can get it running. How about if you take this much for it? I'll give you a deposit today. And I went, I need this thing out of my yard. It's giving me a rash just looking at it. And so he comes back 2 days later to pick it up, and he says, just for fun, I'm going to pull the motor over. First pull, ding, 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 ding. It just ran like a champ, and I went, put it in the truck, get it out of here. I absolutely hated that. Now the old, was it an Olympic that I had?
An Olympic or a Nordic or something.
Yeah. Now the steering was always a problem with that one. You know, because those old sleds didn't turn.
Oh, yeah, they don't turn.
But I was very much intent on the harder I pulled these handlebars over, the better it would turn. Turns out that was incorrect until I yanked the one side of the handlebar off one time when we were out riding.
Yeah.
Replaced that with a piece of hockey stick.
Yeah.
Kept riding.
Yeah.
And for most of that season.
Didn't that machine get sold and go up north somewhere? Didn't we drop
Yeah,
it off
we
at the airport?
fixed it. Yeah, we fixed it. Sold it to somebody who did actually, fly it up north. I mean, did a good job. I mean, it was running fine. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, my experiences with Ski-Doo have not been as glowing as yours.
Well, I've had Ski-Doos since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
RV340s,
Mm-hmm.
which were incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a Sonic out in the shed to rebuild just because of those days.
Right.
I probably had Ski-Doos before that. I had everything before that. I've even had some Polarises before that.
Oh yeah. Didn't you have a TX or a Colt?
I had a Colt and I had
Yeah.
a Cobra.
And a Cobra.
Yeah.
You sold that to my brother, right?
I did, yes, during a blizzard.
Yeah.
Best time to sell a snowmobile.
yeah, for sure.
And then I went to Yamaha for a few years with my
Mhm.
SRX,
Mm-hmm.
and that drove me away from Yamaha forever.
Mhm.
For a long time, not forever.
Yeah, for a very long
And I
time.
actually went to an Articat dealer after that to buy a Prowler,
Mm-hmm.
and the salesman wouldn't give me the time of day,
Mm-hmm.
so I went back to the Ski-Doo dealer and bought my first brand new snowmobile ever, which was my Formula MX 470,
Yeah, I remember that.
which is
slide.
still in the family and running.
Yeah, your cousin has it, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And then from there it was my Mach 1.
Mhm.
No, I had a Formula Plus too.
Okay.
And then my Mach 1. And then into my Revs that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And my 600 SDI Rev has over 20,000 kilometers on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got my Rev with the triple in it.
Right.
And I've also got a Yamaha Phaser that I like to ride.
Well, I know you got like 21 sleds. We could play this game all day.
And then a whole bunch of old vintage ones, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you,
Ski-Doo's been the best to me.
it's maybe been the best to you, but one of the best sleds that I think that never got off the ground really, or got off the snow properly, was the Red Line.
That would have been really cool to see.
And that sled, A-arm front suspension, before anyone else had one.
Gobs of rear suspension.
Gobs of rear and a monoshock rear suspension. I think that Polaris eventually used some of that technology, and I'm suspecting, because I don't know for sure, to create their, for the Rush.
Yeah.
And it was just this incredible. Started with an 800. They never got to it, but I actually have.
They had a Harley Davidson V-twin and 4-stroke V-twin in one.
I actually have literature
Yeah.
that they had put out and produced for these Red Lines.
Yeah.
And it had a 1300cc motor.
Yep.
If that had hit the snow, I was buying one. And there's a few of them out there. They seem to be scattered around, not in the 1300s, the 800s. I don't know that the 1300 ever made production. But they had all of these sleds, and they were just an incredible, years ahead of their time.
225 horsepower, that says.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad you're wearing glasses. I couldn't read that. I could barely see that thing. But yeah, can you imagine having something like that? Because I remember at one point, your answer to my 800 was to go out and buy a Ski-Doo 1000.
Yeah.
And you never rode it because you were always afraid it was going to blow up on
I
you.
put lots of miles on it while I had it, and it did blow up on me eventually.
Yeah, and then you ended up buying what, one or two for spare parts?
I bought one for the motor. I needed a motor.
Yeah.
I ended up buying more than one, but they were to fix and sell. Like I sold
Right,
several of them,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
I remember I told you that time I told you I bought a Phaser so that you'd think I bought a little tiny snowmobile, and then I rolled over with a 1000cc.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we ever lined them up.
No, I don't think we did. I mean, I didn't want to really, hurt you.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
sure
was
you
being
would've.
kind to you.
You know what I think killed Redline? Rev chassis.
Excuse me. The chassis.
Yep, Rev came out with their new chassis, and everyone was scrambling. And there's no way a company like Redline could retool a machine, could redesign a machine that fast.
Yeah. So I remember Jimmy bought one of those. The Rev, the early,
Yeah, he bought one
you know.
first. I think it was 2004. It wasn't a Beaver Tail Rev, but it was.
Yeah, it was after the Beaver Tail. And he was talking about how great this sled rode, and he was giving me a hard time about Polaris. And I said, you realize, of course, that the technology swap that went on at that time, Polaris got Ski-Doo's reverse,
Yeah.
and Ski-Doo got Polaris's rear suspension. And I looked at him and told him that. And I said, so you're basically just riding on a Polaris, so you should be really happy that you've got that kind of comfort in your system.
I threw Polaris for a loop too, that with that chassis.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I rode one was his, and I hated it. And I said, these are never going to catch on. They're awful. You get on the edge of a ditch, you go sailing down to the bottom, you're sitting so high.
Yeah.
And I gave it back and said, keep it, man. I'm sticking with my Mach 1. And then I think it's a great chassis now.
Oh yeah, I mean
you have to have that chassis.
Love it or hate it, that was certainly an industry leader that revolutionized snowmobiling at the time, because they're all that way now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ever get back on an old one, holy.
It's like sitting on a Harley or something, you just
Leg
sink
cramps.
right back into it. Yeah.
Leg cramps, sore back.
All that.
It's still fun, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I guess what we've really decided here once and for all is that, Rev was a really cool sled. I mean, Polaris is the best.
Wow,
Ski-Doo's a close second.
Yeah, not really. No. I think Ski-Doo's the best.
Well, we can have this
Polaris
conversation.
Could be second. And then I'm gonna throw a Yamaha in third because I like my Yamaha a lot.
But you can't even get them anymore.
I know, that's too bad.
You know, so.
And I only like that one model. I've ridden nitros and stuff, and
oh, I mean, like
did
anything.
not care for them at all. Maybe if you owned them and got used to them and set them up for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think my Phaser is one of the finest little 4-strokes I've ever ridden, which is what I got it for. But if I'm gonna go blasting around for a day, it's on my Ski-Doo.
Okay, so I guess what we can agree on is every manufacturer's had some winners.
Yeah.
They've had some losers.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, sleds that we've gone, shouldn't have done that. And
there's going to be Arctic Cat guys that think this is ridiculous, and the Yamaha guys.
Oh yeah, we're probably going to catch a little bit of action for this.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the way it goes.
Or maybe Kawasaki was the best. There's one sitting right behind us out there, but maybe that was the best.
I can say Kawasaki was that great, and they did have some great sleds in the day.
Yeah.
They'd still be here.
I want to go through all the vintage stuff one day.
You know, because I mean, I owned an old Mercury. Now,
that guy where I was buying those skis from the other day had two of those for sale.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw one in the picture. Yeah. But again, find parts for those old things. Good luck.
That guy had two.
Yeah.
Buy them all.
Buy them both.
Yeah.
$100 well spent.
Yeah. I thought those were the ugliest snowmobiles ever made.
They were.
With those two big headlights out in the front.
Oh yeah.
Mercury had some really
big gas tank on the back.
Awesome stuff. Trail twisters, snow twisters, those were crazy fast.
Yeah, and I bet you if you showed up on the drag circuit, you still see some of those sleds.
I want to go through all the best performance vintage machines one day.
Okay, we could do that.
SRXs, Kawasaki, like the Mercs, but even the Interceptors. Okay. Whatever Polaris made that might have been fast.
Come on. Let's not even get into the, which one was it that had the fuel injection years ago, the Polaris there?
Well, I've got an RXL 650
RXL,
fuel injected machine sitting beside my garage.
Yeah, see.
We'll get that running.
Again, ahead of their time.
Okay, there's one sitting out there. We'll get that running this winter. We'll line that thing up with some stuff and see what it can do.
All right. Okay. Fuel injected. Years ahead of its time. Because they're all fuel injected now.
And then it had a little battery in the front that had to run the fuel injection. If your battery died, you were screwed.
Yeah, well, I mean, say that with your electric car these days.
There's a nice 95 RXL sitting out there ready to be put back
together. Get her in here. Right. Get it up on a rack. Start cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve. So enough of that.
Okay.
Tech tips.
Sure.
What do you want to talk about today?
You're the technician here. Suspension stuff today.
Okay, so
it's
walk
pretty
us through
simple. It'd be nice if you could throw a machine up on a lift, but I mean, it's just idler wheel bearings. Spin all your idler wheels. See what they sound like. If they're rough or growly, put new bearings in them, or if they're too loose.
Okay, so for the guys that don't do a lot of mechanical work,
yeah,
how hard is it really to change an idler wheel and change the bearing in an idler wheel?
Some of them can be easy. Some of them are difficult because you have to start taking the suspension apart to get to them. Outside ones, super easy.
Yeah.
Inside ones, maybe you have to take the suspension out to take an arm out. So it might not be that easy.
Could you, in some cases, just loosen the track right off to get those wheels up?
Maybe.
Depends.
It depends. It's from brand to brand and suspension to suspension. Like 90% of the time, you can just unbolt the wheel, take it off. But sometimes, especially on a few of the older machines, it might be part of a cross shaft or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, if you at least loosen the track off, maybe spin them all. If they're all good, fine. You know they're all good. If there's some bad ones in there, if you can't do it yourself, you can take it in and get it done.
Right. Before we move off of idler wheels.
Yeah.
So one of the fastest ways to kill a ride is to have a idler wheel break off.
Depending which one it is, but yeah, for sure.
You know, and from there, what often happens is, again, depending upon which idler wheel comes off, you can rip your track to shreds.
Yeah, if you lose a rear one, your track's just going to go off to the side. And
yeah, so as much as it sounds like a pretty minor little detail, it can become a very expensive oops if you don't pay attention to it.
And it's a super easy thing to check.
Yeah.
And
What
then
else?
sliders.
Sliders,
you want
of
to make
course.
sure your sliders are at least, there's usually a wear mark on a slider, but you want to make sure they're, at least 3/4 there still.
Yeah.
And typically you could look at, say, the front of a slider up near the tips.
Yeah, up where the curve of
And you'll see how thick it should be. And then you can look to the back. And don't just, you have to look all the way along, because if there's not sliders will be
Wavy,
Yeah,
right.
depending where the idler wheels are and stuff. If it's anywhere near the wear mark, change them. Sometimes if they got a little life, I might leave them on. If you can do it yourself, then I would maybe leave them on at the beginning of the year until you get a bit of snow, so you're not just burning up your new ones.
Right.
But be prepared to change those.
Have you ever burned a set off? Ever shot one out of the back of your sled?
Yeah, but I didn't install that. I got that installed by my cousin. Yeah, right at the back. It was quite interesting. In about 10 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're changing them, make sure that you're fixing them in there properly.
Yeah, put a little Loctite on that nut, maybe.
And if they're getting a little questionable, find the deep snow. We've been out riding when you could tell that they're getting hot and sticky, because it's like you let off the gas and you're hitting the brake.
Yeah,
and
it feels like hitting the brake, yeah.
So when you do that, of course, you're starting to burn those things off, and sometimes you can smell them. Over the years, we've smelled.
Usually you smell the guy in front of you is.
Yeah, that means yours are too.
That's true.
So be careful with that.
I've been on rides where we stopped and then I couldn't get going again because my sliders stuck to my track, and I had to kick the track to break it loose.
You're kind of rough on your sleds, right?
Yeah, sometimes. I was riding with a big group, and there was no stopping.
We talk about all the years and the things we've done on snowmobiles, and sometimes just it doesn't have to be a crazy story or something silly that we've done. Just riding when it's too warm or not enough snow or too much gravel because there wasn't enough snow, like all kinds of things. What else in the suspension, Steve?
So other wheels, sliders, limiter strap.
Limiter strap.
Check your limiter strap. Make sure it's solid. I've never really noticed one break, but I've seen guys take them off so they can do catwalks.
And you know what? But not even take it off.
I back mine off pretty loose because I like to take the weight off my skis.
But that's where I was going with this, Steve. Is what? People don't spend enough time setting up their suspensions for their weight.
Yeah.
And a limiter strap is a big part of how you set your sled for how it rides and handles.
Yeah.
And for people that are new to the sport or newish to doing a little bit of wrenching on your sled, setting your sled up for your weight is very important, because it will make your riding experience.
Style. I've had guys ride my sleds and they didn't like the way they were handled. A buddy thought that my skis were coming up too much through going around the corners and stuff. But I just like to ride with not a lot of weight on my skis, and that I leave my limiter strap pretty loose. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, you talk about the skis and my edge. We talked about it earlier, and how much I loved that sled and all the tweaks I did to it. But I'd bought a set of those skis with the double runners on them.
Precision skis, the Skidoo Precision or the Simmons Flex ski.
Yeah, well, these were the Simmons Flex skis.
My favorite skis ever made. Pretty much every sled I have has those on it.
And when I sold
including my Yamaha.
When I sold it to kind of a friend of mine, he's up in the north, living up in Thompson now. But I told him, I said, "Be careful. This thing turns like it's on rails."
Yeah.
And it did. Yeah. And we get out for a ride. Very first ride, we go booking across from Gimli across to Grand Beach on the Piston Popper Trail. Anyone that's been on that knows what I'm talking about. We get to the far side, we come up to that first, gotta hang a right.
You made it across there with the Polaris?
Like nothing.
Okay, good.
I'm telling you, that thing was so fast you would need a cape. Because that way, because then you're super Polaris.
Back to your story.
We get up to that first right turn, and he rolls it.
Oh, yeah.
And I pulled up beside him. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. He says, "You were right though. This thing just wherever you pointed it, it went."
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
Those were great skis. I've got them on everything.
I should have kept them when I sold
You
the
should.
Sled, but I thought the new Sled's gonna be all this because that was the Dragon. It's gonna have every, all the newest stuff. I'm not gonna start monkeying with it right away. I've monkeyed with it a little bit since, but not a lot. But anyway, we're back to the suspension.
Shocks.
Shocks.
Yeah, they're pretty reliable, but and I mean, unless you take them out of the suspension, you don't really know 100% whether they're good or not.
Mm-hmm.
But you can visually check them for leaks, and you can bounce the sled and make sure it's not all bouncy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're rebuildable.
Mm-hmm. So rebuildable shocks, Steve. How often?
Only if you need to, only if they're starting to, if they're bouncing. If they're leaking or they're just, the machine's bouncing and it's not,
Yeah.
But you really can't tell unless you pull them out and compress them and, it's hard to tell.
But, so, as a rule of thumb, every second year?
For rebuilding?
Yeah, for rebuildable
I don't
shocks.
say so. No.
What do you think then?
Just
take them out and test them?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But I mean, I guess while it's out, you're doing all the
Or
other work
just,
we've
you
talked
don't
about.
get the feel, you've probably known if your shocks, if you hit a bump and it tries to launch you off the machine, or you go hit bumps, or your machine's sitting down low, or you're bottoming out your suspension constantly, you'll know.
You know, yeah.
And then you pull your shocks out and have a good look at them. I mean, when I'm doing a preseason, I'm just bouncing it on the ground and visually inspecting them.
Right.
Because you can't go in there and rip shocks out for a preseason. But if the customer says to me that it feels like they're bad, then I'll rip them out
and really give them
a good once over, or see if they need to be rebuilt or replaced. Yeah. But I'm not going to give any kind of. I wouldn't say any every 2 years, every 3 years, anything like that.
Okay.
You'll know.
You'll know because, and I'll use the example because I've had this with even oil shocks that have worn out and got moisture in them, and you're out on the cold. They freeze rock solid.
Yeah, then they definitely need to.
Yeah, at that point it's time to change that shock, spend the money, because you will not enjoy the ride. You'll become so disenchanted with that sled over a shock absorber. Fix it. Replace it.
Yes, your daughter snowmobiled. Watching her ride that one year, we all knew she needed shocks.
Yeah, and we replaced them, and she ended up putting 800 miles on that sled that year.
Yeah,
I mean, she rode it a lot.
So I think that's about it, except for check every bolt, make sure all the bolts are tight. You can check the rails for cracks. They crack, not often, but they sometimes crack. And just have a real good look at everything when you're in there.
Have a look at your track, the inside lumps.
I always spin a track around once. And just have a look at it, make sure it's decent. If you're missing a lug or two, it's not a big deal as long as it's not getting down to the rods or looks like it's going to break or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, last episode, I introduced what I'm going to call What Was He Thinking? And so, with that in mind, Steve, a lot of people these days are using, financial advisors to help them set up whether it's their retirement or help them manage their retirement once they get there. I mean, we're getting to a point where this conversation seems to be happening more and more within our group of friends.
I'm just building up lots of snowmobiles to sell.
I know, I can see that.
That's my financial.
That's your financial plan, is it? Sell all these
eventually sell
sleds?
them all. Yeah, they're going to be worth a lot of money someday.
Okay, good. You're gonna have to live to 203, but that being said,
I threatened that I was going to give them all to my nephew when I passed away.
Yeah. Well, what did your brother say?
Well, that was my nephew.
I know.
He wasn't. He just laughed.
I'm sure your brother doesn't want him in the yard either. Well, I guess your
doesn't
nephew
live there anymore. He's married and has kids.
Okay. Well, I don't see these guys every day. The hell am I supposed to know?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Anyway, yeah. So people use these financial advisors, and you trust them because that world can be very daunting. So as much as you want to see the returns, you want to make sure that your money's being well managed. You have to use these people if you want to really move forward. So you trust them to do a lot of things for you because you want to have a comfortable retirement because you want to be out riding and not worried about whether you should be adding a little something to the cat food so you can eat tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you're going to be selecting one of these advisors, are you going to be looking at a guy that we know with torn pants and his worn out jacket and all that, or are you looking for a guy that's got a little bit of means and you can look at him and or her for that matter, and go, they've got some money. You know what? They're obviously doing well because they're taking good care of themselves. You can see it. I want that person to manage my money too.
Okay.
Right? Does that make some sense?
Maybe he means he's making too much money off you.
Well, maybe not off you.
The other guy's more thrifty.
Well, he might be a little more thrifty, but I'm thinking if he's doing a good job, he's making good investments and making himself money.
Sure.
So there was this fella in Wisconsin who was using his wealth to show people that they should be investing with him. He had 300 snowmobiles of vintage racing sleds, newer sleds, 300 sleds.
I would invest with him.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Guess what he was doing?
Using their money to buy vintage sleds?
Yeah, he wasn't investing it. He stole.
He's got my plan.
Yeah. He stole $16 million from people from about 2019 to March of 2025 when they finally caught him on these Ponzi schemes.
That's okay.
300 sleds.
And all I'm thinking is, I want to see that collection.
Oh, you know what? And I was thinking about this. I remember I was telling you how I'm always thinking about things to talk about in the show. But we need to be watching for when that auction goes up, because they're going to be auctioning off 300 sleds.
Yeah. That's a neat one.
That's a neat one. But if you can imagine, make sure your guy or girl, whoever, who's managing your money is doing it properly, legally, and ethically, not buying snowmobiles with your money, and every once in a while giving you a little dividend check back going, here you go, you did extra good, here's some cash. It doesn't work that way.
So I get a statement every few months that says, here's what your investments are worth now.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I bought 20 snowmobiles, but...
Yeah, no, nothing like that. So anyways, again, what was he thinking? Be careful out there with your money. It's too hard to make and too easy to lose. And I would rather people are able to buy snowmobiles and see them out on the trails and in the warm-up shacks than have them sitting there going, I lost it all. I can't believe that guy stole all my money. And now he's got a collection of whatever it was. But anyways, what was he thinking?
But if they want to invest with me, I'll buy some snowmobiles with them.
Invest with you. You're an investor now.
I'll buy snowmobiles.
Okay. All right. That's a little different. If you've got a sled to sell, there's one born every minute. All right. Steve, let's talk a little bit about products.
I thought we were going to talk about exhaust valves and lead into products.
Well, we could do that. Either way.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about exhaust valves as a tech
I was
tip?
just going to say, pulling your exhaust valves out every fall is a good idea, and have them clean. Just make sure they're clean and free and working good and everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a lot of people will say that you have to run specific oils to keep your valves clean. Like if you run these cheap, if you run this oil or that oil, your valves are all going to get gummed up and quit working. And I disagree with most of that.
Okay, before we go down the oil rabbit hole, because that's easy to do.
Yeah.
First off, part of the inspection, and we mentioned this with my Dragon earlier in this episode,
Right.
is making sure that you've taken the nuts off the back, that nothing's stripped, putting them back together properly so that these things don't fall apart. How many times a season should you be doing this? Because a good friend of ours suggests 2 to 3 times.
I only do it once.
Yeah, I'm a once guy myself.
Yeah.
But he is suggesting 2 to 3. Now, cleaning them, I get it.
Some of them are kind of hard to get at. Like some of the new machines aren't like, just pull them out. Like if it's our old, like a Polaris or a Rev where it's individual valves and they're a piece of cake to pull out, do it as often as you want, right?
Right.
But some of them are ganged together and got like the electronics hooked up to them, and they're kind of a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've, from my own experience, pulling them out once a year has been plenty.
Okay.
Plenty.
Okay, so once a year minimum.
Yeah, but you want to definitely pull them and clean them and inspect them really well.
Right.
For sure.
And of course, a big part of making sure that your exhaust valve is working properly is the type of oil you're using.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No, because I used to be, I don't know what kind of oil.
Okay, so...
I don't know what you run for oil, necessarily.
Always synthetic.
Yeah, same here, synthetic. But I used to be very brand loyal where I only ran Skidoo.
I was never that guy.
Okay, I was that guy because I was always told you have to run Skidoo or your valves are going to plug up and all that sort of
That's
stuff.
all
Right?
nonsense.
And I mean, the closest Skidoo dealer is an hour away from me, and I have to run in and buy oil and all that
I
stuff.
remember that. I remember.
And then
Yeah.
when I got my Rev and we started doing these big long rides where I'd run out of oil because I always crank my oil pump up more than anyone else.
Because it's a Skidoo.
No, just everything.
Okay.
And it's good for the motor. Little extra oil. Does a little extra oil hurt anything? Maybe the environment.
You know
but
Ted Clampett, you know that, right? You
Anyway.
have oil just coming out of the ground?
we'd go on these big long rides and I'd be running out of oil and I'd have to stop at whatever gas station there was and buy oil. And that got me over the fear of mixing oils or whatever brand you were running. I try not to mix oils, but I'm not loyal to the Skidoo oil anymore. And if I have to put in something at a gas station and mix two different oils, I will. And I've never had a problem. I got over 20,000 kilometers on the machine. But synthetic's good for sure.
Okay.
I like to run, we stock
At Performance Supply.
at Performance Supply, Torco, semi-synthetic, which is just a little less money, right?
Right.
And I've had no issues with that whatsoever. We have Torco full synthetic,
Right.
which is, a little more common,
Right.
a little more money again.
Yeah. Well, full synthetic, I think, is the way to go these
But
days.
what I really like to run is Icone,
Now, is this the
Racing
stuff that
Snow
has your
Tube.
lovely strawberry smell?
strawberry scented oil.
Although, you know what? Everyone comments about your sled is, man, it always
It's-
smells like that
Anybody
strawberry.
following a guy running this stuff, it smells nice.
Yeah.
But if you're running a sled in a shop, even if you got like a ton of exhaust in your shop, it still smells way better than just exhaust oil.
Right. But shouldn't
So-
you be exhausting that anyway? So
You should be.
we don't find you here laying beside a snowmobile
You
one
should be.
day?
I do have an exhaust fan that I run.
Okay.
But this stuff is my favorite. I've never had issues with it. I think it's a good oil. But I will admit I run it just because of the strawberry smell.
Okay.
But I mean, I think any synthetic, even a semi-synthetic, I don't think is going to be bad on your valves. I've had guys bring sleds in here where, they're only running the Polaris oil or they're only running the Cat oil. And I can't even pull the valves out because they're stuck and they're still carboned in there sometimes. And I'm not saying it's the oil.
No, I was
I
going to
think
say
it's
that's
more
probably a maintenance
It
thing.
is more the maintenance thing. They haven't ever done it, right? That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've run a variety of oils, and a lot of times, I might run iPone, but if I sell out of iPone, I'm switching over to the other stuff. Or if I'm on a ride, I'm putting in something at a gas station, and I do take my valves apart once a year, and I've never noticed any difference from year to year as far as carbon buildup. That's the biggest thing. No difference in carbon buildup, and I've never had an issue with a motor going down from mixing blends of brands of oil. Just try to, if it's synthetic, try to stay with synthetics.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, Steve.
Yeah.
People are always trying to find ways to make their snowmobiles go faster and be more competitive with their buddies in their group.
Yeah.
And there's 1,000 ways to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There really is. But I'm going to say this. If you are cleaning your valves so that your engine is running the way it was designed to run at a peak efficiency, you're going to get far more performance out of your sled than tricking around with exhausts and all the stuff that we've done. And yes, those things work. But if you don't want to get into all the mechanics behind, adjusting, okay, I put a new can on, so now I've got to adjust my injection, or I got to adjust my, if you're carbureted, your jets, and that sort of thing. Just basic maintenance, keep it running well.
Yeah.
Clean your oil, the exhaust valves, because if they're opening and closing properly, you'll get way more performance.
I had a fellow bring a sled in here one day just for a preseason, and he had one stuck exhaust valve on it, and he didn't know he'd been riding it like that. And I cleaned it all up, cleaned the exhaust valves, did the preseason. He rode it back home, and when I got home, I got a message from him just saying like, "Holy crap, this thing's just woken right up again," and wondering what I did. And all it was is I got one exhaust valve to be not stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Performing the way it's supposed to, the way the engineers designed it. Right on. Well, as always, we sure appreciate the people that are liking, sharing, and subscribing. We love the comments and the conversations that are going back and forth on every one of the social media platforms that we're on now.
Want to know what your favorite brand is?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Even
want
if
to
it's
hear.
not a Skidoo.
Well, it probably isn't. Most people are, not spending too much time in the exhaust like you are. thinking this is strawberry and inhaling deeply. So I'm thinking I get the whole Ski-Doo thing now. It just suddenly became very obvious to me.
Okay, fine.
But anyways, as I said, like, share, subscribe. You know, we certainly like having the subscribers, and the more people that are seeing this, you know, we'd like to educate the newcomers, even the mid, you know, people that have been riding a fair amount, but don't realize that an exhaust valve is stuck. Things like that.
Or if somebody comments about something they want to talk about, just to talk about it. Or
You never know.
figure it out.
Yeah,
Do that
absolutely.
too. Yeah.
For sure. But anyways, snowmobiling is all about performance, and Performance Supply is all about making sure you have a great snowmobiling season. Thanks for joining us this week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.